And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there who's all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify podcasts. That's right. Joe's reaching out at you right now. 5-star review anywhere you can. If you can, it is greatly appreciated. Plus, if you can like, share, follow, or do anything that you can to sports right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the great folks at LakersBall.com, Lakerholics.com, and I'm hoping the crew will get here this weekend for some games. Plus, also as well, the awesome folks at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, coming a day after the 2-year anniversary of an unfortunate loss in the actually not only the NBA, but the community, but just basically Lakers communities, Lakers fans, and basketball fans around the world with the passing of Kobe and Gigi Bryant. And yesterday was a hard day for all of us, especially if you're a Lakers fan. Today, it didn't get much better with the news that LeBron James woke up with a sore knee, tried to work it out, unfortunately could not go ahead and get really into a good enough shape to go ahead and play in today's game against Philadelphia 76ers. And it was a difference today because even though you got a terrific game from Anthony Davis with just a tremendous performance, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 4 block shots, it wasn't enough. As Joel Embiid, a very good MVP candidate, and now with the way he's been playing over the past month, probably has moved into the number 1 slot, chipped in with even on an off game for him, 26 points, which was the first time in a while he scored less than 35. 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 block shots for him. Got help from just a whole bunch of players, including Tobias Harris with 23. He had George Niang with 14, Tyrone Maxey with 14. And the Philadelphia 76ers, after a very competitive first half where the Lakers had a very good spirited, active defense and just couldn't quite get enough going on offense, but still stay close, unfortunately couldn't keep close in the second half as the Philadelphia 76ers, once they built a double-digit lead, just kept a nice cushion from there. And the 76ers did defeat the Lakers 105-87. And here today to talk about the game is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind many of the comments that he makes at LakersBall.com. You got to be part of the game time chat that they have at LakersBall.com. In fact, go ahead. Be a part of it tomorrow for the game against Charlotte. He is known as Ox1947. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, you can just never stand anything continuously good for this team this year. As soon as someone comes into the lineup, someone comes out and vice versa. I mean, we almost lost all 3 at one time of our big name players because early in the first quarter, we had both Russell Westbrook turn an ankle and Anthony Davis hurt his wrist. Both came back into the game, and obviously AD played very well from there. Russell Westbrook gave you an okay, by the way, 20 points, 6 turnovers. He really wasn't that much of a factor in the game. We're not going to place the blame on him for today, but again, the rest of the team just didn't show up. Malik Monk, that was in the starting lineup, 3 for 13, only 11 points, really had an opportunity to shine and unfortunately couldn't get it done. And everybody else just seemingly couldn't buy a basket. The team overall only hit 6 threes and was 20% from the 3-point area, 40% overall. That won't get it done. And 87 points, one of their lowest offensive outputs of the season. Yeah, just a terrible performance overall and just wasted a great AD performance tonight in Philadelphia.
Wasted is the right word to use for this season. Whether it's their fault, whether it's not their fault, it's just one of those things where, there was some good banter going on the Game Time thread. We have certain members that I think live in the planet denial a lot. There's some valid points that they make, but in the end, there's a reason why this is team basketball. And when you're top players, let's say, and again, with this soft, weak, sorry excuse of I'm not going to use the words I really want to use, culture that we're in, where guys are just constantly missing time. We have the John Walls of the world not playing for a whole season because a team wants to tank, and you have the Ben Simmons of the world who are throwing tantrums about not being, not wanting to go out and play because they don't like something. This all kind of starts to make sense why the Lakers are in this predicament. It's just the culture of things nowadays, and guys don't play 82 games a year anymore. They don't value the game as much. And again, I'm not going to sit here because I get that excuse from people who don't actually watch or even pay attention. I do, so I can speak. They were making $20 million 15, 20 years ago too. Jordan was making $35 million the last few years he was playing, and he played all 82 games. When he was playing, he played almost all 82 games in both the seasons during his comeback. One of the seasons he did, and he was in his late 40s. Well, this the third comeback.
The Washington Wizards.
The one that was, unnecessary. So it's going to sound like I'm being, I don't know. You get into these discussions, and there's got to be something there beyond stats and actual cause and effect during the game. So some of the discussion was about how Russell Westbrook wasn't really the problem today. It was everyone else missing the shots. Russell Westbrook had 6 passes to the wide open guy, and they missed them. I said, okay, to some degree, there's truth there. But I'm looking at it from a 48-minute process. And up until now, almost 3/4 of the season, right? It's not just because of tonight. The frustration isn't just because of what happened tonight. It's just it's a part of what's been going on nonstop since the season started. And these losses don't hurt as much if you win the ones you're supposed to win. If the Lakers were a 4th or 5th seed right now and playing relatively good ball, meaning not relinquishing a 7-point lead with 2 minutes left against the Kings, or ruining 2 games against the Thunder up 20, and games like that earlier in the season when you had an easy schedule and you had enough talent and you were showing, that you were being dominant at some point in the game, so why not win the game? You lose those games, and now this loss hurts more.
Yes.
It's not just tonight. It's constant. And we don't have – I'm going to use a football example, being that I'm a Steeler fan. Ben Roethlisberger officially retired today.
Yes.
And I used to tell Steeler fans on other forums, fans that I talked to face-to-face, they didn't believe me when I would say this. And again, I've never missed a Steeler game this century. Okay, I've seen every game in this century. I know, I've watched them. People would get weird when I'd say Big Ben wasn't really a real leader, because I've seen real leadership. I saw Jerome Bettis for his entire career be a leader. Hines Ward. You know what a leader is. You know what the heart of thing is. Derek Fisher. People obviously are going to talk about Kobe Bryant and his Laker career, but he was a leader by action, right? But you had that other guy that was kind of like, hey, Kobe's upset. I'm here to help you out. And that was kind of like the yin and the yang. And before Scottie Pippen started doing stuff, I don't know if it's an herbal thing, but his role during the 90s was to play that, hey, I'm going to calm everything down. I'm the guy that runs the offense. I'm the one that's going to play defense, and I'll be the guy that kind of keeps things at bay while Michael Jordan's playing the psycho. Our team doesn't have any of that. Just like on the Steelers, once the Hines Wards went away, once the James Ferriers went away, once the Jerome Bettis went away, everyone was like, well, we still have Big Ben. I go, Big Ben is not a leader. He's a great player. He's the quarterback, but he's not a leader. And when you need that leader at that crucial moment, that's where you see that next level thing happen. Somebody used Patrick Mahomes as an example last week, and it couldn't have been dead on. 13 seconds left. He puts on his helmet, and he wills that team saying, what, 13 seconds? I can do that in 13 seconds. Imagine now, what else cannot be done, right? We don't have that, even with a LeBron James. And LeBron James is not a bad guy. I'm not saying he's not somewhat of a leader, but I've never seen him be that guy that can grab your heart and go, let's do this, and it makes sense in the end of the day. AD is kind of the, same situation, and obviously Russell Westbrook is no way that way either. Steph Curry has that ability. Who else would be a good example in the Giannis? Giannis can kind of give you that leadership where he kind of brings you back up, and then obviously
he plays a lot with emotion, as you saw in the finals. He plays a lot with emotion. He plays a lot with just sheer will. No, he doesn't have the beautiful stroke or a lot of the grace sometimes that a lot of these other players have. He has just sheer will and sheer power and sheer drive, and he wants to score that basketball, and he wants to play harder than you. And just to see that kind of performance from Giannis in the finals, I mean, surely dictates that he willed his team to that championship. And I think that's something that I think, like what you're speaking about, it goes a long way. But right now, when you talk about the Lakers on a day when you don't have LeBron, again, the numbers weren't bad when you look at it on the surface, and I'm certainly not going to go ahead and fault too much the day for Russell Westbrook. Would you have liked Herculean numbers, when you don't have LeBron in the lineup from both AD and Westbrook?
Can we get one?
Yeah,
can we get one?
We got one with AD. AD was great today. AD was great on the offensive end.
Okay, we brought in Russell Westbrook. Okay, this is why I was excited about this. This is why. We knew Russell Westbrook could not be a number one. We saw he couldn't be a number two. A number three, an aging LeBron. He's a point guard. He can get to the hole. Yeah, he can't shoot, but I didn't care about that. I said,
today he shot well today.
That's fine, but that's the issue. The issue is it's not really about today. The frustration today is not really about today. It's a culmination of just
because they played the NBA's easiest schedule the first half.
They're constantly being beat by 20, and I don't care if LeBron is out one game and then he's in and then AD's out. You should not be getting beat every time someone's missing out of the lineup, no matter who it is, by 20 every damn time. That shows that there's no. I don't even know if the word system is right. Which, I've been frustrated with the fundamentals in general. Like there's this team that has zero fundamentals other than maybe Reeves. I've seen Reeves do it to some degree. AD. There's some fundamentals there where you see the development of a play or the extra, jump on an offensive rebound. I mean, shoot, the last game, 16-0 before we got our first offensive rebound, and it took Reeves practically flying from half court to go get it. This has been a constant. Last year, the issue they had last year is it was crazy how no matter what game it was, they had a 3 to 4 minute drought in every game where they didn't score. Yeah. And that was the catalyst to all this. I believe if they hadn't been if that hadn't happened during the year, I think the Lakers would have ran this back. So what happened was Rob overcorrected. He overcorrected, and I'm not fronting again. I agreed with it. So I'm to blame too. I supported it. Okay. He overcorrected. He went more offense, started bringing guys that can shoot, whatever that means. And then brought a third star that could cover the games that the stars miss, except that's not happening. It didn't happen. Russell Westbrook shooting 43% wasn't what's not why we knew he couldn't shoot. What we needed him to do is cover the second and one star when they were out. Let's say I had given it a rough number. I said if AD misses 10 games, let's say 10 games. If LeBron misses 10 games during the year, I even said 10 to 15. You have at least Westbrook to kind of massage those games a little bit and cover you. That hasn't happened. I think I remember distinctively that he really played well with one of the big two out, where it was you couldn't deny that it was because of him we won that game. I can't even remember the game because it was so long ago. I only remember one, and at this point, I don't want to blame everything on Westbrook. He is who he is, and I actually kind of feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him. I know he's trying. There was some games there where he didn't have any turnovers, and you can tell he was really trying to not create problems. But the problem is his game doesn't work with this team, no matter what's going on.
And it doesn't. I'll give you that. In fact, I said that from the get-go. I'm like, it's been noted, as Laker Tom noted, I'm the one who was very vehement about not getting Westbrook on this team, and I'm not going to blame today's loss on him. Basically it's a team effort and it's team loss. The team stopped its effort once they got into double digits as far as as far as how much they were behind, and you could see the effort just start to derail from there. And you're right, Joe. This is not about tonight necessarily. This is about what we're seeing from them all season long, especially when they had the NBA's easiest schedule the first half of the season, and they were predominantly at home and wasted so many home games. It was just very disappointing to see this. So you cannot have a game where LeBron has to sit out and you lose by 18, because this is what happens. When you have tough stuff like this, you fall down below 500. So now you're 24-25. You're struggling to keep the 8th spot in the Western Conference, which the team is right now, which means right now they're facing head-on a possible play-in game that they're looking at. In fact, right now they're in 9th place in the Western Conference as we're talking about this. So they need to go ahead and understand that they spent so much time with so many lost games earlier in the season. The games like these, which normally shouldn't come back and bite you if you're a good team, okay, you chalk it down as a loss and you move on. Now is the point where these losses hurt even more. And I agree with you.
Yeah, it's analyzing the momentum now on where it's going. Portland is going to continue to get worse because almost half their team is going to be out for the year.
Well, Portland right now, yes, when Nasir Little,
so they're in the 10th spot,
out for
right?
The year. Yeah, they're in the 10th spot. They're 3.5 games behind the Lakers. So it's pretty much a sure thing that the Lakers will stay in the plan. But the thing is, do you want to be a 10th seed? Do you want to be a 9th seed? Do you want to be an 8th seed? Let's try to see if we get the Lakers out of a play-in scenario. But the problem is you have to go ahead and have your players on the court at the same time. And I hear all this all the time as far as, from the people who are trying to defend the Lakers all the time vehemently that, okay, we need to have them play together all the same time. They've only played together, meaning LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook for 16 games. Well, again, they got to stay on the court themselves all together at the same time. Even if that's the case, you should have enough stars or good players out there on the team that should be able to make up for it with all these other teams that you played against in the first half of the season that were not as good as you guys, or at least not as good as the roster that you put out there. So I don't know. At this point in time, it's very frustrating for Lakers fans. This rock and roll, this roller coaster ride that we're going ahead, that we're still going through, seemingly up and down. The great win at Brooklyn, followed by today. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow in Charlotte? Will we have AD? Will we have LeBron? Who knows? Because we're going to go ahead and just play it by ear, because that's seemingly been the case for the entire years, patching that up. I do want to mention before we head on out, my friend, that Stanley Johnson, who was in the starting lineup today, only 2 points, 3 block shots, 7 rebounds, did play some good defense at times on Joel Embiid. He got a contract for the rest of the season and a team option for next season. So We'll see what happens with him. Offensively, he can't give you a whole lot consistently, but defense, obviously, he does provide a lot of that. And I also want to mention as well the starting lineups for the All-Stars were mentioned. So let's hear some of your thoughts on this. So I want to go ahead and let everybody know that the West and East All-Stars were named today after all the voting was done. And Steph Curry, John Morant, LeBron James, Andrew Wiggins, a surprise there, and Nikola Jokic are the West starters. And in the East, it's Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid in the East. I'm going to say right now, I think that the West with Andrew Wiggins is a very great surprise. He was someone who we considered on many of our lists that could make the back end of the All-Star roster, but for some of us, we didn't have him on the All-Star rosters when we were going over it. Your thoughts on the Eastern Western All-Stars before we head on out?
I don't care.
Well, I would love to see an All-Star
I thought it was
go
exaggeration with Steve Kerr saying this is one of his best moments in his coaching career with Wiggins being picked. I guess I sort of get it, but me being I guess the get off my lawn, generation guy, or at least the last of it. Where the heck has this been? Where was this guy 5 years ago?
Well,
Why did he start?
He doesn't have to play like as a number one in Golden State. I mean, there's so many other options for them. He can just go ahead and thrive.
What is a number one in Golden State? I mean, really, when they were winning championships, at least the second and third time, who was the leader there? And again, that's stuff that all started with Shaq and Kobe. That's the one negative thing about the Shaq and Kobe era that just destroyed everything after it, which was whose team is it? Who's the most important player? And in the end, and that one part that I immensely respect Steph Curry for, because he could have easily said, no, I'm the man here, where, blah, blah, blah. He always played, hey, if Kevin Durant wants to come here, let's do it. If, Clay wants a few extra shots, let's do it. Here's Wiggins. I think it's a testament to more of Steph Curry's availability. Yes. And team mentality. Yes. And that should be a big part of why his greatness is great. We need to start pumping that up. Forget about the threes. Forget about the 3 titles. Steph Curry is the embodiment, in my opinion. He is the guard version of Tim Duncan. He is the guard version of Tim Duncan. And I think if anything, if they ask Wiggins, what was the change? What was this? I mean, again, I know Kerr has his moments, but I think ultimately Wiggins should thank the boys, the Klay Thompson and Steph Curry for allowing him to be himself. And again, not have as much stress, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, that team is perfect for him. He just has to go out, hit a few threes, shoot 40% plus threes, and then play great defense. And that's what he's been doing. And that's all he's asked to do. And that's something that's really worked for him. Previously, when he was a number one pick, so much pressure was put on him. I can understand why it's not for everybody. We've seen how many number one choices have we seen in all the major sports bust over the years because so much pressure was put on him. You obviously saw that he couldn't handle being that number one player. So he goes to a team like Golden State, which says, we've already got a number one player and we've already got a great offense that we work in. We just want you to fit right in. And he's done a great job in doing so.
It's nice. I guess maybe I'd be more enthusiastic and more.
I just don't think he's an all-star personally.
Not a starter. Definitely not. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the excitement, the excitement of the All-Star game started to dwindle. I'd say probably about 5-6 years ago. The All-Star game is always an offensive game. But I felt like before then there was at least some pride in trying to win, right? And then 2 years ago they had that was right before the pandemic. They had that selection thing. I thought that was cool because whoever got to the number to win was going to be the winner. And that's kind of how we grew up playing basketball. I thought that was kind of cool. As far as the players that are playing in it, I don't have any feeling for it. The more the John Walls, the more the Ben Simmons, the more of these athletes that keep coming into the league and don't value, because you started seeing also in the last 5 to 6 years where people didn't want to play in the All-Star game. And to me, that's just, there's no connection with these guys. There's no excitement. Like, ooh, we're going to go watch Magic and Jordan and Tim Duncan and Kobe. And, they're going to, be doing this thing. And, we're going to be able to watch them all play with each other. That moment is gone. We're not even excited about the starters. I remember it was a big deal. It was a big deal when the starters were announced. I remember when Shaq got picked his rookie year, there was this huge, week-long, how do you put Shaq in as a starter above Patrick Ewing? People cared. Now, I don't know. I don't know if there's a connection with everybody anymore. And if I wasn't such a huge sports guy, because I have all the friends that, circle around me with all their BS and selfish athletes and blah, blah, blah. That bothers me too. I'm just like, look, it's sports. It's exciting. It's competition. That's why I keep watching it. Plus, I love my teams. So if we got to deal with a couple of prima donnas, well, so be it. Life isn't always going to be perfect. So the All-Star game, I would say not really excited for it. I have no feeling for, Wiggins being a starter. It doesn't matter to me either way.
Most of the picks, though, are really good lineup. The East, I think they really nailed it with what the Trae Young. Maybe because of his record, you probably would say, okay, maybe not. But I think Trae Young is obviously on a personal level is playing like an all-star. Again, his team has got to get in better shape, and they have been playing better recently. But for the most part, they were good picks. And I think, again, the excitement over the All-Stars, you're right, over the past decade has not been what it once was, and the intensity and things of that nature.
It's a lot of things, too. It's a lot of things, too, Gerald. I mean, I know I'm not – I hate to be that guy that says, hey, how about – sometimes I'm watching these games, and these guys look like they just got up from bed and – be a little presentable, have some class. I don't think we have that either. I think that plays a big part in it too. You used to have Kobe coming in with, some good gear. And Shaq always had his thing. There was some, showmanship.
Well, I don't know. To me, I don't think that's the case. I just think right now when you're paid the amount that they are paid, I think that heavily weighs into what they're doing on a let's say for instance, the All-Star, which is basically a glorified exhibition. You don't want to give 100% and
see that's yourself. There's one sport because I used to always get irritated by they had to pick every at least one All-Star from every Major League Baseball team, and then football. 5 people can say I'm not playing, and then the 6th guy ends up going to the Pro Bowl, right, at the linebacker position. The NBA was different. The NBA was everyone that made the All-Star game. You're talking more about, oh my God, I can't believe he got snubbed. That was more of the discussion versus, oh man, what's this guy doing over here? There was just not enough players. Lillard didn't make the All-Star team for the first 6 years. That's how you're talking the best of the best of the best, and money and all that. Again, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy the money thing because they've been making this kind of money for 20 years. What is it? Where's the movie star athletes? It's like it's gone. There's no more. If it's an exhibition game, we want to be entertained. This is the good time to entertain and enjoy the athlete who's got skills that very few people have, and we'd like to see maybe some personality. And again, maybe I might be venturing in too much into the show side of it, but then again, why are we watching the All-Star game? Where's the personalities? That's kind of where I stand on that. And there's no more dead wood than Andrew Wiggins. I mean, has that guy said more than 5 words in the NBA?
Well, I don't want to go into that. I mean,
it's not. Again, you're talking about an all-star game, okay? And you're talking about
he's had
best
a pretty
players
good
in the
season.
world.
He's had a pretty good season, so I think they're just crediting him. Again, he's been part of a team that's at or near the top for the most of the season.
Am I being too harsh, Gerald?
I think you're being a little bit too harsh, but again, it is the All-Star lineups that were announced. We actually retweeted at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. Or if you have any comments, concerns, questions, you can always hit us up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Once again, the Lakers will be playing tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. They'll be facing off against Charlotte and continuing this Grammy road trip. Right now, as far as the overall on the road trip, they're pretty much up and down again. So, I mean, they're 2-2. So we'll see if they can go ahead and get back on the winning side of this road trip. But before we head on out, Joe, I mean, did you guys go ahead and have a great time at LakersBall.com and the game chat?
It ended a lot like how this show's ending right now, where it was a lot of negativity.
Oh, well, okay.
No, it was fine. There was some spats, and again, this is the life of a Laker fan. We're spoiled. We're expecting championships, and when you have LeBron James on your team, who's playing at a high level still, and then you have Anthony Davis, was arguably before this season a top 5 player, and then of course he showed why he might still be if he's healthy tonight. You want the results. You want the results of winning, but again, personality wise, I'm extremely happy when it's warranted. But then I'm also pretty brutal when it's not warranted. Now, that is a subjective situation. I know some people look at things a different way. I think a lot of my frustration is the fact that I don't remember being this off on what I thought was going to be good. There's a little bit of a reminder of 2012 when Dwight Howard and Steve Nash came in. But that situation was different because there was some positiveness until, of course, Kobe blew out his Achilles. There was some momentum being built there, whereas this season there's been nothing. It's been 3/4 of a season of nothing. They win 2 games, 3 games in a row, 4 games, then they lose 2 out of the next 3. There's never been a positive in any of this season at all, and it's just kind of getting to the point where I just want to get to the summer and find a way to figure out what the next move is. And again, I'm not going to fault Rob. I'm not going to fault Frank. I've been trying to support Frank. Frank is not Pat Riley, folks. Frank is not Phil Jackson. I think people also forget that that's not the case. However, he does need the right tools for him to really show his ability. And right now, his tools are a little rusty. I don't think it's exactly what he needs. And I don't want to put a lot of blame on him. And again, there's nothing out there. The NBA players don't let coaches coach in general. It's very hard to be a good coach, great coach in the NBA. It's probably the worst place to coach. You might have 2 coaches every year that you could say have a good hold on the team, regardless of which star is on there or not. Greg Popovich is still that one. Who's the other one? Maybe Eric Spoelstra? Maybe.
Well, that's another podcast for another day,
right? Friend. But that's because the Godfather's behind them. So again,
I think there are better coaches out there. I think there's a list of good coaches.
Oh no, they're great. But who is respected, right? Maybe Monty Williams to a degree now, but then again,
Nick Nurse is also respected because of the job he's done in Toronto. I know Taylor Jenkins, the job he's done in Memphis, he's earned a lot of respect for. So I really think that there are good coaches out there. Frank Vogel is a good coach. Like you said, he's just not been given all the correct tools, and we'll have to see what we can do to try to fix it from here. But tomorrow, the game is at Charlotte, and Joe will be there on the chat board at LakersBall.com. So please go ahead, be part of the conversation today at LakersBall.com. Plus, also as well, we're going to go ahead and let everybody know that again we'll be back tomorrow after the game. So please go ahead and join us here at Lakers Fast Break on Facebook. Also, a big shout out to everyone out there on YouTube that goes ahead and watches us there. We got a big crowd watching always, so we truly appreciate it. But we will be back tomorrow for the Lakers, who are now 24-25 in ninth place in the Western Conference. Can they climb back up the standings? We'll find out if LeBron, AD, and Russ all go ahead and be part of the same game tomorrow night in Charlotte, and we'll wrap it up for you tomorrow night right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone.